I've always appreciated our friendship as well too. And I think that when I first met you, it's always just we've kind of always had this bond as well. And I call Kuya Joey as well too. So, but you've always been a good mentor for me, and definitely given me a lot of guidance, and definitely given me a lot of perspective. So I do appreciate that on that side. Thank you.
Awesome. I do in some ways. I think the things that I share, on an individual level for yourself, you kind of think, I feel like more people know this. I don't know if you come in that mindset of like you learn about things and you're like, I feel like more people know this. Like, isn't this like common knowledge?
Yeah.
And then you interact with people and you're like, no, there's a lot of things. Like, there's more opportunity now than I remember growing up, where like there's less commonality, and it's better to now come in with an assumption like other people probably don't know this. Other people don't know. I don't know if that's something you experience, but
I think that you're absolutely right. I think that the older we get, the more wiser, and we've just seen a lot more stuff. And so whenever I get to you get to give me a fresh perspective on what's going on, or what to look out for, or how to, not to say how to feel, but definitely guidance. I do appreciate it. That's why it's something that I just like when you talk. You want to listen, you want to understand like where he's coming from, and so I think a lot of you bring a lot of great value when you speak. People listen. I just want to let you know that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because in the moment when I'm speaking, I'm like, no one's really listening to this.
No.
Like, that's what's going in my head.
Yeah.
As far as like, is this worth saying? Yeah.
Right.
Like, check. Yeah. All right.
Now, public speaking, is it like something that comes natural to you, or have you always built up to that, or?
No, I mean, in high school, definitely did not look forward to the project of whatever topic and like, go up on stage in front of your. But I think that was my freshman year. I was invited to. You should audition. I had a lot of friends that did theater.
Oh, nice.
Back then.
Yeah.
And so, I was more, I guess you could say, musically inclined through dance. I used to do like hip hop, Filipino folk dancing.
Yeah.
Like around end of 8th grade into high school, and a lot of those friends of mine did musicals, and so they were like, I'm not into. At the time, I wasn't too much into plays. They were a little too quiet for me in comparison to something that had like background music and something like ensemble kind of musicality, and then also performers, like dancers. And so I auditioned for my first musical my freshman year, and was fortunate to
Not freshman high school, freshman college?
freshman year in high school.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah. And from there, got a role, actually. It's like a 3-liner role. I was Willie the waiter in Copacabana.
Yeah.
And
Copacabana.
exactly,
Yeah.
Barry Manilow, right? And then,
out.
from there, just got inspired to. In some ways, I don't necessarily think about the performance aspect. At least back then, it was just more like just getting your voice out and being comfortable.
Yeah.
Sending it out into the ether with whoever's listening.
Yeah.
But then I think growing up and just over time and doing more of these and doing, in college, PCNs, Filipino Cultural Nights. And,
do any pistahans or anything?
Pistahans, yeah, I've done that. And also my performance in hip hop, I did till even like probably first 2 years of college as well. I participated in things like friendship games as well, if you know what that is in college.
That is when the clubs or the fraternity sororities get together? I don't know.
Filipino orgs up and down California meet up in Long Beach, I believe. Long Beach, California.
All right.
And basically do a bunch of picnic games. There's like 3 sections. There's like, you do the picnic games, and then I was part of I forgot what they call it, but like basically it's the performance piece where like each school does like a 5-6 minute performance. Usually it's like a hip hop dance.
So like a Mr. Beast game? Like it's like more of like a competition? Like you get points at the end of the weekend?
I'm not familiar. Okay. I actually haven't followed.
Damn, that must be
that's
like...
a really big one.
Yeah, no, that must be the original fucking Tinder for Asian people, bro.
Oh,
like,
yeah, definitely. I mean,
You were like Catholic groups and friendship games.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So that I did that for the first 2 years of college, and that was my young and dumb years in terms of just like, hey, just let loose, have fun.
Yeah, if anyone's had a pass, I've had a pass.
Junior year or senior year.
Right on. Now, when you like being influenced into musicals and dancing, did you have a lot of people that are already in that realm, or you kind of just took a dive into?
Yeah, I had a best friend in middle school that I would say inspired me
Okay, cool.
to do it. Just watching her perform,
Nice.
and then from there I met a lot of other. I mean, just so I was a lot of them were Filipino, and a lot of them.
I was about to ask you what
excited
school
me
you
for
went to. I didn't
performance.
even know what school you went to.
American High School in Fremont.
Okay. Yeah.
Very diverse. Never really had an idea about like cultural differences in ethnic studies. We were very
Wow.
accommodating of each other's differences to the
love
point
that.
where it's just like I mean, we might visually look different, but we all got to take the same test.
Yeah,
We
rice
all
is
gotta-
rice kind of thing.
Yeah. And so that's a very good point. Definitely.
Yeah. I got you.
Rice is rice. I love that.
Yeah.
And so I've it's through other people that put themselves out there that I get inspired to want to emulate and are like, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to try that.
That's
kind of
inspiring,
thing.
dude. I mean, that's what we need more of. Just being, being able to try. I think that a lot of us don't try. Right? There's I don't want to say shame or there's an embarrassment or to try different things, and that's this is not a behavior that I want. I want to try and say that I tried and be able to have the story of trying too. So a lot of people just kind of cut themselves off before they even do anything in this world, and that's it's really saddening for me. So
Was there anything for you in high school that you like really got foundational knowledge on and like loved doing and maybe that even carries today?
yeah, I mean, the one thing that people don't know about me is that, or that I loved doing was that, my freshman, sophomore, junior year, I was in football, and then I did 2 years of wrestling.
Okay.
Senior year, I didn't do any sports, but that's another story for another time. But doing my electives, I actually did a lot of child development classes, and I was really good at it. Just taking care of kids, feeding time, organization, story time. Just kind of like one of those things where
This was like outside of standard schedule? Or
no,
this
it was
as
at
a-
Cappuccino
oh,
High
okay.
School. We had a,
Oh,
a
okay.
child development class.
Oh, okay.
And I think I took 1 or 2, and
Yeah.
it was one of those things where I really, really just like the joy of being around kids and just like having fun and I don't know, just kind of innocence, and it's just like and also maybe that stems from my background as well, not having role models, or I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, the idea is like, yeah, like that would have been something I was like, wow, like maybe I can go into child development after high school. But then everyone, is a lot of social or, roadblocks, or, people say there's no money in that. There's you have to go to school, blah, blah, blah. So for me, it was just one of those things where I loved and I wish I kind of pursued. And I think that just early child development or child development in general would have been fun. Yeah. I've always, when growing up, I took care of my best friend's little sister. It's
Okay.
Ellie. So, just one of those things where, not for hella long, but, it was one of those things where, people need help. And, I was just, I don't know how old I was, but, just taking care of a little one at that age.
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility, just like, first one, making sure they don't die. That's number one. But
Around what age was she?
she was. I mean, it's got to be around 1 or 2 because it was kind of like the near end before I left for the military, and so
Got it.
it was one of those things where I think like my best friend was going to work, and then my best friend's mom was going to work, and there just wasn't anyone to take care of the baby.
Okay.
And so I just took care of the baby for a couple hours, but it was just one of those things where it was natural. So to answer your question, yeah, I wish I could have had more foundation in child development. I think that could have blossomed into something, kind of cool. So, yeah. But that's interesting, man. Just the way that you grew up with the support system as well too, and then what did college look like? You went to college and
Yeah. So I went to SF State.
yeah.
And my first couple of years there, really, I mean, for the most part, I lived out there. I'm from Fremont.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not necessarily too far. And it's doable commute back then when toll wasn't so insane. But
2026, $8 is crazy,
crazy.
yo.
Back then, I remember when it was like 4 or 5, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. And that was like 10 years ago.
That's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, so going out there wasn't necessarily too much of a drag. But I was fortunate. So I mean, kind of rewinding a little bit back. So I have an older sister, and something to just kind of note about me that I feel like is a big has been a big influence in my life is the moment when my dad had passed away when I had just turned 14 at the time. Then he passed away like the month after. And, you know, he's one of those figures in my life that I think, because my sister's 8.5 years older, so a lot of that I would learn about him is through her, kind of thing, because she was always the one that would directly take care of me. My dad at the time was already retired from the military, so he was more of a house dad than anything.
I didn't
so
know that.
Nice
okay. Yeah. What branch? Sorry.
He was in the Navy. He served for 20 years.
All right. Cool.
And I was gonna get your opinion on this too. Just like what if you have like I guess how would you define in like 1 to 2 sentences the definition of like a soldier? Like for you, like in its most basic form. It doesn't have to be anything directly.
1 or 2 cents. Yeah, it's for me, the idea of a soldier, someone that gave, you know, yourself to a higher being. You kind of, it's selfless, right? It's selfless. It's the bigger picture for somebody else, maybe the financial situation, or, you know, giving yourself as a patriot, you know, to this country. But yeah, I would say selflessness. I would say, you know, all the things. If you've experienced combat, if you've been in, you know, theater as well, or you've been in some action, etc. That's the reason why the reason why I did it. That's the reason why a lot of people did it, was just because all this stuff. For example, like when I came back in 2017 and I went to college. Man, there was a lot of people, and there was a lot of, like, not a lot of hatred, but a lot of stances on the military, stances, and, you know, where we are as a country,
or how to think about them.
Not saying
don't even know
not saying like close to Vietnam, but I'm saying people had an opinion, and it was like, okay, but on the bigger scale, you're like, well, yeah, that's the whole reason why we went out there. For you can do this, you could protest, you can voice, you know, you have the freedom of speech, and that's why people out there do it. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but it's like, that's how I see it. It's like,
I guess I could say I was curious on like just like on a fundamental level. Like, is it safe to say that soldiers execute the mission? And I don't mean it to be in like any kind of like, you know, movie kind of sense. No, you got to execute the mission. And like, everything's done. You know, but at the same time, it's like, as a civilian, I feel like you're more in the position to have opinions, because that's what the soldiers of your country fought for, is that you can have a voice and a say. And it's not to say that I think soldiers can't have a voice, but I think it's not the primary objective of their role's existence. It's more, as a country, we need to coalesce towards a specific goal, and we need people that can execute and not necessarily get
too caught up
mentally
in stuff.
weighed. And not to say that that's not important.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's just different roles in life where it's like, that's not the primary goal. It's not. And so, granted, you know, I feel like nowadays people are more inclined to make sure that we have a voice. But also, I think there's also appropriate places where maybe voice is not always the first thing that needs to move forward. And you know, you were in it. So I was just curious, like, is that something you feel like other soldiers share? Is that even something that is fundamentally taught?
Great question.
Yeah.
I think that I have a very regimental mind. I think that there is a time and a place for everything to be said and done. There's a lot of planning in my head.
Yeah.
And so, look, at the end of the day, in the military, I was just a number. And, you know, I was just the best number that I could be in the time. Yeah, that's such a funny question. I've never been asked that before.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I believe it's an important question, because when I think about, there's not a lot of time to reflect. You know, for me, because of the way my military career ended, I simply had to put that in a box, and I kind of put it to the side. And that's not, you know, there's sometimes where I open that box, but you know, right now it's like, yeah, I just take the good from it, and you know, it is what it is. It's one of those things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But when I think about opinions and having a voice, and you know, again, it's just like, I guess I take a stance of I did my time, and it's just like that's what that time, that it is what it is. And I'm not that kind of person to be like, hey, my name is Romel, I was in the army. Like I'm never like that. Being in the military must be the last thing you know about me.
I remember we would talk about it.
Yeah, because I hate
during the Memorial Day, Veterans Day. Too.
Oh, I hate. Oh my god.
Every time our leaders would ask us.
Oh,
and I'm
man.
like in my head now, like looking at you.
Right. And it's such a funny conversation because yeah, I loved. If I had it my way and the things didn't happen, I would have stayed in. I would have in 20 years. That's that's a piece I had to, that's something I had to live with. And so
how far had you gone already? You were
4 years, four or 5 years.
Okay,
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
And I have a really like close best friend, roommate, college housemate at the time.
Yeah.
Who's still in it. And
Yeah.
he's like, I think he's gonna make 20 years soon. Is it like what? Maybe in 4 years from now, 5 years from now?
Yeah.
It's crazy to even say out loud because he was the same year as me in college.
Yeah.
He was 1 year older than me, but still. But yeah.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Can you raise up the mic a little bit?
Is it shrinking?
I think it's like tilting down. If you want to just tighten this one up, right?
This one, right?
Yes, please. Yeah. Righty
Is
tighty.
that better?
Because I just saw it slouching and then I
Yeah.
saw your levels going down,
catch,
so
good
just want to
catch. Let's tighten that
tighten
there.
that.
And then
Yeah.
does this too
Yeah,
help?
tighten with that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, just let me know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's it's important because yeah, I've never, and one day I will have to open up that box, and I think that that's something that on my own journey as well. Yeah, you kind of make peace, right, with other chapters of your life. So,
So I segued away earlier because
no, yeah, we were talking about your.
Yeah, I would say that is something I took away from him, and not that he never like explicitly like told me about his time in the military and like kind of the mindset he had to be in. It was more of just observing him, someone that, at the time when I didn't even really think about what it meant to have like superheroes. It wasn't until I reflected on what it means to have this kind of superhero figure in your life until after he passed.
Yeah.
At the time he was just dad. He just did whatever the family needed. Always, he was the one that made sure that we communicated with our family in the Philippines. And it's like pre-iPhone, pre-FaceTime time.
Ooh,
and so
little,
that's
little international cards. He
had the whole process of traveling, like buying boxes, going home during.
So he
Holy
kept
Week.
everything. He kept everything.
It's very regiment, and that's what you take away. I remember just him having his white T-shirts ironed, or something that carries over with me is I use a Brute. If you're familiar, like the cologne, the Splash On cologne, Brute. It's like a green bottle.
Okay.
And so it's like those little things that I kind of just recall carried over to me, just because that's either what we had access to, or my family at the time would love going to like commissary and Navy Exchange.
And that's up in Alameda, dude.
Yeah, or Moffett.
Moffett. Great call outs, man. No, and that's thank you. First of all, thank you for even trusting me with that information, bro. I think that it's important to even just speak upon those little details, and I hope that you reflect and maybe even journal it as well too, just because those things matter. I don't know how many times you get to kind of say those things out loud, but just to even feel
for millions of viewers.
We're going viral, baby.
We're getting there.
Yeah. No, this is the first podcast in the new year. So shout out to you, man. Shout out to you.
I mean, this.
It's a
early
perfect
in the morning.
time.
I had to be the first one.
And also, it's not gonna be your last podcast for me, because I hope that you come back as well.
Awesome.
But
appreciate that.
But yeah, no, it's really important to take those moments, man. For me, when I was in film school, a lot of people don't know this, but I was doing a lot of documentary work, but then I also transitioned to journalism.
Okay.
The one thing about journalism that I love, which I don't do, which is a great practice, is be observant, right? Observant. You don't really realize how important that skill or task is.
Yes.
To remove yourself from that scene and just understand the details of, paying attention to what really matters. And what you described and what, just kind of like popped in my head was, yeah, like ironing white t-shirts, the cologne,
The regiment,
the regiment.
routines.
Yeah, you kind of just, and those are the things that are instilled in us, and I think that's very beautiful. So yeah, I think that you should, man. I think you should have some time to put aside and uh, yeah, just write it down for yourself. Yeah, for
Do you
sure.
need- do a pause.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, there's a
Okay.
yeah. Sorry, man. There's
I was actually gonna try this without.
yeah. You take it off.
Just
Yeah,
see,
I can wear it. Yeah, no worries.
and just kind of get the different feel of what it's like with or without
Yeah.
kind of
Let me
thing.
know. Let me know.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Let me know if it got too warm for you.
No. Did you like it though? Like hearing the
It felt more official.
Yeah.
It felt like, oh man, like we're in the zone.
yeah.
Like, and can you compared to like just what your ears normally hear,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hear that like it's not like a static, but that constant that white noise background.
Yeah.
and that's like, oh yeah, people are listening. Like you're on air.
Like the
Or
feedback.
at least that mental, like that's what
Ooh,
I'm
I should
making
get
the
an
association
on-air
with.
sign. That'd be cool, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, so let's go back to it. So college, right?
College,
So what did college look like for you? Did you?
Yeah. So initially, actually, getting into FSU State, I was in the direction of wanting to become a mechanical engineer.
Ooh.
Took foundational classes though, and I had never taken physics in high school. So my first physics
neither.
class. Well, when you're figuring you're in the route of being an engineer, you thought you'd have some experience.
I was a
with that.
senior. Yeah.
It's oh yeah.
No, I was a senior taking fucking algebra 3 or pre-algebra.
Okay,
dude. Yeah.
okay.
So.
Yeah, well, I will say the community that we had in high school at American, very predominantly. I feel like it's very standard to say predominantly white because that's where most of high school started.
Yeah.
But as of now, we can see the trajectory. 20 years later, now that my nephew goes to that high school, my older nephew, and it's predominantly like Indian and a lot of Filipinos, a lot of Chinese. And so, we already kind of knew the direction of diversity that was going in, and I had no idea how that would translate to my time in college. Because back then, I would compete just with friends about your test scores, and I was part of the group that took a lot of AP classes.
Okay.
Just enough though. Like for me, I would describe myself as like maybe a B+ student. Like I did
Really
enough to be like very.
You heard it here first, guys.
Above average.
What? No
kind of
way.
thing.
Shut the heck
But
up,
I
dude.
never had inclination. Like I did. I think from my friends' parents, the energy to like, oh, you should get A's, right? And I was like, yeah, but in my household, I was like, nah, B+ is cool. I was fortunate for that, and I think,
okay.
but I understood where my friends and their upbringing and just kind of like, even though it
But that
hadn't
also
really,
pushed you.
Oh yeah, no, I got
also
inspired by my
pushed
friends.
you.
'Cause
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to. I wanted, you want to be with your friends.
Yeah,
What
for
are
sure.
my friends doing? Okay, let me see if I can do that too. And
For sure.
but I also had a mixture of things. I feel like, stereotypes in media would think, you don't do the arts, do the dance as well. You got to focus on just pure academics. But at the same time, like academics, like when you reflect on it and you're older and you're wiser about it, it's more of a holistic view of what it means to be academically inclined and knowledgeable. I would think, at least.
That part.
You'll come to find throughout this whole conversation, I am okay with being wrong. I don't mind.
I mean.
Yeah.
And that's a huge one that a lot of people, at least in our generation or the next generation, just don't have a big problem with. They just don't take the feedback, the criticism, the being wrong as a strength.
Yeah.
Or the courage. Or, I don't even know. Like they don't know how to absorb it.
Yeah.
Embrace, sit in it, and then say thank you.
I think
that's it.
part of it is when the feedback comes from somebody you don't interact with regularly when it's not in a feedback situation. I think that's part of it. I think, but also inherently, societally, we don't put ourselves in situations that, let's crave it. In our spaces with company A, well, we want to embrace feedback. And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, I was like, it's good that you have a practice of giving it. I think society loves giving it. So even to a point where it's just like very romanticized. Almost. And I'm like, what's something that we don't do? Crave it.
Great.
I want to eat it up.
Yeah.
I want to take it in. I want to be the reason why I get feedback because I wanted it, not because you wanted to give it to me.
Yeah, and I think there's a tolerance to it, right? I mean, like you
Yeah.
know, you're
Yeah.
how much are you supposed like? Can you take? Mm-hmm. And people don't know that too, you know. And there should be, and that's why we, you know, at Company A, we also have this permission based kind of. Can I give you feedback? Are you ready to receive feedback? Are you in the space to? And so, but you know, there's an element to it, man. You know, I've said this on this podcast before. I feel like on my journey, especially with mental health and therapy, I've like overcorrected sometimes with my my healing process. And now that I'm learning about it, every time I say I'm healed or I'm healing, it's fucking pretentious on my side. So I hate saying that, but basically what
I think it's helpful to be said though. There's a lot of
Okay.
times where
yeah
reflection can, in many ways, come mental, like it's in your head.
yeah
But then in terms of like senses, to hear yourself say it, to say it, to feel it, kind of thing, like really, I guess you could say, triggering more senses really allows yourself to embrace it. But I don't know. I'm just kind of digressing.
no it's true,
direction.
man. There's definitely a power to it. I definitely need to be in sometimes where when I talk about mental health, I always feel like I forget the grace or forget like forgiving myself. I don't know if that's something that you know.
I feel like slowly but surely it's shrinking still.
Yeah, or like just sliding
like,
now.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I get nervous about twisting these two because I don't like the idea of stripping them. I feel like
Right.
more often than not I put too much force.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
gonna
I'm not trying to break this.
Hand tight
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But yeah, man, it's very important to reflect, and I think that we need more time to do so and say it out loud. And so, this is a diary. You know, this is the diary to myself, a love letter to myself. You know, a lot of people when they get on this podcast, they always ask me what Nothing But Heart is, and Nothing But Heart is something that I put together because, you know, at the end of the day, I have nothing else to give except my heart and my soul.
I should have asked before. Now it's coming together. Go ahead, keep talking.
Oh yeah,
we'll talk offline too, in more detail.
No.
I was like, I think I know what this is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so mechanical engineer, and
Yeah.
what was I don't want to say holding you back, but what was one of those things that were obstacles in your way in college, or?
I think for me it was that time because first 2 years I did other things that I never had access to. Like I was living out there already, so I felt inclined
You're
to
in
like
the dorms and stuff like that, or?
Park Merced.
Okay, yeah.
So the
That's
apartment
okay.
buildings
Yeah.
just outside, which pretty much feel like dorms now in terms of
Yeah.
how further integrated it is.
Yeah.
And like the new facility, the we never had that back then when
Right.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love to see the growth in it, and I think growth is important to reflect in, especially with the state of that area now and just how everything after the past 5 years of the pandemic. It's nice to know that it's still growing.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I was one that I was fortunate to be able to go to college because of my dad's time in the military.
Got
That
it.
definitely helped. Finances were already difficult back then, and when I graduated was 2009, so that was just post the financial crisis, which even to this day I still want to reflect on and really know what was going on back then to really understand and appreciate what I was able to accomplish without having that kind of societal economical weight on your mindset, which hopefully we can get back to.
Why? Yeah.
And so I was fortunate because I either had great distractions, and I think the term distractions can be kind of, but friends, awesome distraction. Being out there, awesome distraction. Awesome opportunities to try to just be in the zone and focus on, and that's kind of the goal, right? When you're in college, you focus on whatever the craft is. You're spending money to be there.
Yeah, I better say it's all you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all you.
And so
everything else is noise.
Yeah. So I had positive influences and a lot of great support from my mom and my sister and the money my family had set aside for me. And it wasn't enough to get me through the first 2 years. And so it was a lot harder my last 2 years. And I was like, felt inclined I needed to finish.
So you did feel the weight of...
Well, I felt that because my sister was older, was in college at the time when my dad had passed, and she actually took a step back to take care of us and make sure that I was well taken care of during my middle school and high school.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so, and it wasn't even something like at the time I felt inclined to ask her to do. It's just something that she felt she wanted and she needed to do as well.
Yeah.
At least that's what came off from what she would tell me.
Yeah.
So I just take those opportunities and try to appreciate them most. So to be out there, did a lot of electives, did a lot of, I was talking about Filipino cultural nights.
Yeah.
I did internships with the Ethnic Studies org. I got to learn about the College of Ethnic Studies, the very first one in the United States.
Were you tapped in? Were you into the culture before college, or did you say that you got into into the culture?
Well, high school I was always surrounded by it, but we never really reflected on what it meant to like
history,
have ethnic studies and being, your sub-ethnic group American, like Filipino American.
Now, has that dictated your life moving forward after you learned a lot more about your background?
Yeah, it's helped me become even more well-rounded, and I think that's what influenced me to, at the end of my college term, graduate in a double major in Asian American Studies and health education. Now, just a little background on that decision. Asian American Studies at the time only took 3 years, so I would have had a fourth. Like I could have graduated early. Plus, coming into it, I had a couple AP credits, so I already came in like already first semester completed. So I took a lot of the GEs and everything already. And so it's just funny because I came in with extra stuff, but at the same time, I didn't change my major until like halfway into my junior year.
And is that frowned upon? Is that something that you like?
I will say in the route of being an engineer, you have to start from the beginning. There's no way
I didn't
take the foundational classes till later on because I was like, this is fun. I was like, I need to do these ethnic studies classes. I've never had the opportunity to learn about Filipino culture, which at the time only had 3 classes.
So why you felt like you couldn't log in on that, or you felt like more pressure on?
No, actually, it was the physics class that
deterred you?
Not deterred, but opened my eyes, and I got to have a further realization. I remember I was already struggling for the first maybe 2 months of it. And, in college, that goes on physics 101.
It's crazy to hear you even say struggling, dude, in education. For some reason, it just doesn't it doesn't click in my head for some reason.
Well, it's funny because, I went into college thinking, I'm going to do what my friends do. My best friend at the time, he was on the verge of wanting to become a mechanical engineer. He finished. He went to UC Davis. And so that, I think, also inspired me because I also love learning from his dad, who was also an engineer. And, granted, at the time in high school, I didn't necessarily have my father figure, my dad, to bounce off, like, what should I consider? He's always put me in a pace of, like, making sure I had great foundational techniques and knowledge, but also empowered to make my own choice. And I think to be in a position where I was never really pushed to make a specific choice, that's also what led to just me going into college not knowing for sure, even though it sounded like, most of my friends would want me to do engineering or so this is what society probably wants me to do. But I was like, I never really took the time to reflect. I was like, what do I actually want to do? And it's not even like pressure to figure it out. It's just like, I love doing so many things.
That's beautiful, man, because, as a father myself, I feel like, I don't want to say that's the goal, but, one day when, MJ goes to school and has opportunities to find herself or find a direction, all I can do is just best hope that she's, first of all, happy, and that, she has the opportunity to try different things. And I'm not, again, you didn't, you said no pressure, but I mean, what a beautiful opportunity, that you've had to even, what do I even get to ask yourself that? A lot of the times, I don't want to say with people that I've, come across, the future, the job, the path is already written or maybe carved in. And so, you kind of just have to turn the wheel, So, that is what a great what a great time, right? I hope that's a great time for you.
It was. I think that physics class when I was about to take our semester final or whatever you call it now, I was like, I felt so prepared. I was like, I know I'm not doing well. I have like a C right now. I'm gonna really come up. Did so much studying that week, and then with the test day, the test was on the table. The time starts. I look at it and I was like,
Oh no.
And I'm about to take notes, and the teacher's also lecturing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had my Charlie Brown moment. You know, the kids are you
Yeah.
watch Charlie Brown
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
kids
Yeah.
and the teacher, and it goes
Yeah.
womp womp womp
Yeah.
womp.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, that's a sign. I stood up. I was like on probably the third row. No,
Yeah.
I was in the front. I stood up, took my books and everything, and I just walked out of the class.
No shit.
And I swear, I kid you not, I changed my major, or I went undeclared.
Holy shit.
And in my head, I was like, yo, there's a lot that it's taking me to get to where I am, and to feel like you're
Wow.
making, something that society would probably frown upon. I didn't, there was a lot of pressure, I think, I felt back then. But only because of what you probably see in the media, or like what you see on TV at the time, and like, oh, you should feel bad kind of thing. But now I was
Right.
like,
I get
but at
what
the
you're
same
saying.
time, it wasn't like I did it not having something deep down that I really wanted to do, which was for sure Asian American Studies. I took so many of those classes during the GE requirements at SM State that
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is actually fun. This is dope. This is things I've never heard of before.
Wow.
Or like, it's history, but it's like side B of history when we only get side A in high school, like a very specific America
you gotta pay
perspective.
for that book kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. To get those extra chapters.
Yeah,
those,
yeah.
Those other quote unquote side quests of
Right.
like what it really means to be an American.
Yeah.
It's American of a particular, ethnic descent. Like
Wow.
when I hear the phrase racism, for me that doesn't click, because I also have a scientific understanding of what race actually is. And it's like part of the whole taxonomy branch of like species and genome and all that. No.
Okay.
And
No.
so that's what I think about. I think it in a more scientific
Okay.
way, even though I love scientific concepts.
Yeah.
But like foundational equations and how like atoms work, that doesn't click. Like I didn't do well in chemistry. I don't know things like when we work for company A,
Yeah.
what inspires me is not like the chips inside. It's like what the total package does for people.
Fair. So not the components, not the
Yeah.
variables,
Yeah. And
but
so
what the result or the outcome is.
And so at the time, then, like, ethnic studies, that was more relatable to people. Like
Yeah.
those were the people that I was hanging out with, and those were the people that were sharing their stories
Yeah.
and reflecting. And back then we didn't have podcasts, but we had just this innate opportunities to like interview each other, meet people from different
hell yeah.
backgrounds outside of our own Bay Area.
Yeah.
They come from
So
SoCal.
you've gotten a lot of experiences. You've come across a lot of people.
Yes.
Now I want to hear the end of this story. Now, what did you
Yeah.
you went undeclared your junior year, sophomore year?
Going into junior year, and I was
Okay.
like, man, what am I gonna do?
What is this? What
Like,
is these next 2 years look like?
I would have
dude?
finished. I could have finished with Asian American Studies. I already got most of it done.
Yeah.
And finished in my third year, but I was like, yo, I'm not done. There's still a lot I want to do. But at the same time, even though back in my head I was like, financially that's not the most sound. But I pushed and I kept going, got the most out of it, did a lot more. I actually did get into a paid internship for this thing called CFA, the California Faculty Association.
Okay.
And so we would be aware of like the state and UC system and how tuitions were going up. And so we were there to support the professor unions in trying to, keep class sizes the same, if not shrink a little bit more, or try to fight for the students and making sure that tuition didn't go up. And by the time the end of my super senior year, my fifth year, we actually had this major campaign where we were able to get a vote in and get tuition to freeze for 5 years. Now, granted, it's like 10 plus years now. That hasn't changed. Tuition still goes up. But it was nice at the time.
It's nice to feel like
that
you
I
made
like
a difference.
contributed.
Yeah.
But yeah, all this to say, there's these little things that I did
Yeah.
and just made sure that it added to, by the time I graduated, a well-rounded education.
I love that, man.
But also being a son of a nurse that did nursing for 40 years. And I was like, I don't think Asian American Studies would be the greatest thing that she'd be excited about. And you take into account, right? Because they invested.
I was kind of feeling like that story was going to be pushed either towards something. Because the American Studies, it just sounds like there's passion behind it. And I could feel that, the energy that you want to talk about it. But so you led into mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
You did undeclared. What does the next 2 years look like? Because I do want to.
I will say, and I'll shorten this, the mechanical engineering actually came from just this thought that what did my dad do in the Navy? He actually worked on the engines over there on the planes.
Yeah.
So that's what translated to me. I was like, maybe I'll do, what do you call it? Mechanical engineering or something like that. And so that's why I looked into it in high school. And then on my mom's end, nurse for 40 years. I was like, I don't want to be a nurse.
Yeah.
I think it's more like, I think deep down I knew like I didn't have that level of, that type of patience. And I don't like to grade patience like, oh, you either have it or you don't. I'm like, no, there's just appropriate levels of patience for different professions. And that's not one that I possessed. And I knew that. But I did appreciate the concept of health and learning what it means to appreciate holistic health. And so somehow discovered health education. And at the time, that was like the only like health major or health related major that wasn't impacted. So I was like, I'm gonna try this. And actually, my college.
Wait, what did you try?
Health education.
Okay.
And focus with an emphasis on public health.
Got it. Okay, cool.
And so I loved it because you learn a lot about like theories about just society and how when you're trying to, talk about like things foundational to a pandemic and how disease travels and how to get people aware, how to talk about sex education.
So you you were ahead of the curve a little bit on that side when
Just understanding like how ideas spread and what is the appropriate way to like share scientific information with the public.
Yeah.
Which it's funny
Important.
how like now when we think about like we've just had a pandemic and at the time we were only studying it, we're like, oh yeah, I wonder what the likelihood of this ever happening. Fast forward 6 years later. Oh yeah, it could happen. And I think that's what starts like just kind of this Pandora's box of wanting to learn more now. And if we get to it, I don't know how we're doing on time, but just in terms of like a foundation and my sense of technology and how I've related to societal health.
Oh yeah.
And for me, it all starts in 2018, which we can talk about. But yeah, in short, I doubled in health ed, Asian American studies, no regrets. Just the biggest way though was the financial debt afterwards. Is that how much societal debt, in this case, educational debt, could really put a weight on people either during the process of trying to get your education and or for me it was more post because I had a lot of distractions. I had a lot of great friends and great opportunities that already kept me mentally busy. And I was fortunate to have let myself go there. But now finishing and looking back and having more opportunity to reflect and not trying to report a grade to a professor or to an institution of like why you should give me a piece of paper that says I know something. Now it's about Now it's about like, wow, I'm a citizen of the world. I can have an opinion and depending on what circles you're in, like what you say resonates with people, or it's good to be a little more intentional about what you say and care about what others think, not just because you're performative, but because you're just another human that cares. At least that's how I think. I don't know.
No, yeah, man. A lot of reflection after this one, bro. We'll talk
sure.
about it.
Yeah,
no,
definitely.
It's great because I think that two big things that really mess people up in this world are just going to be either medical expenses, and those are things that you cannot avoid, and education. And I think that, wow, those two things is just like it can really derail, someone's future, definitely. And so, okay.
Is that something you personally is part of your bring you experience,
no,
or like you've noticed it?
I've just noticed it. It's just like there's a lot of people that I know that maybe could have taken the next step, wanted to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But then, kind of just I don't want to say held back, but just a education. You just there's a lot of obstacles, and I just hate to hear that part because I went to college right after in 2017 I went to Academy of Art. I graduated with a 4-year degree. Unfortunately, my senior year I had an internship in New York, and you probably heard the story. I was up in New York, and COVID hit, and I came back, and I just and this is my, I don't want to say love letter, but this is my kind of idea of well, how do I take my degree. I'm not doing journalism now. I'm not documenting, but it's all got to fit. And this is where this realm kind of like clashes.
Yeah.
I put all this together. And
this is a lot of work.
It's good
respect.
work. Though. I like
great
it. I like it.
Yes.
And I time myself too. Like, I just have to get better at the craft. I have to understand there's a flow to it. You know, so, but I had my last question. I know that we're great on time.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But I wanted to ask you, because I know you have some questions as well too. But for me, I realize a lot of the way I think about myself and a lot of the way I carry myself, the weight that I carry, it stems from my background and my culture. Mm-hmm. And so, with being like a Catholic and growing up in a Filipino household.
I as well.
Yeah.
I'm Catholic.
Yeah. For all my Spotify listeners over there.
I feel like it's just easier because sometimes you like wonder.
Right.
But then I was like, oh, is it okay to ask?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just going to put it out there. Catholic.
Yeah, I'm going to put a thumbnail, Joey, Filipino guy.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
It's funny.
But yeah, and I guess that's another thing, I just definitely our upbringings were definitely different, but I would say that a lot of it too was a lot of pressure on my side with mental health and being Filipino and having, family members look upon, look not down, but look, at you and, yeah. So I was just wondering, and this is my question too, is did you feel the weight of Filipino mental health or Filipino culture in the household before you went to college, or did you feel it as a releasing when you got into the studies, or like I don't know, or like you understood it more?
I understood the why more.
Right.
But growing up, it was more of something that for me at least, I was like, oh, that's just how we are. And it's not even at the time where I felt like I should have questioned it. It was more of like, my dad was alive. Was very. I get to reflect now and think about how fortunate to have those type of Sunday breakfasts, go to church routines, dress up, all that stuff. Nowadays, I don't really dress up, but I'm glad that I had a time in my livelihood that I did do those things.
I love that. Yeah.
I have appreciation for that. Mm-hmm. And one thing I think about now that I got to learn in my first 3 years at SF State was my appreciation for the first class I intentionally signed up for. Like, it's funny, the class that I signed up for was destined for like third years, but I used my freshman priority. I was like, no, I want that one.
Okay.
It was a Psyche and Behavior of Filipinos, AAS 355 at the time. And that's where I learned some foundational cores of like things that I grew up with that now clicked and made sense. Like,
I need to take that class.
Like
there.
I've talked to you, I think at work about like the idea of like bahala na or walang hiya, which if you recall, like walang hiya means this, like a lot of people think walang hiya means shame. That's not traditionally or foundationally where it comes from.
Yeah, I think you need to yell it at me to freaking.
Yes, walang hiya. It's like it's very. There's a difference between colonial definition, which is what most people know, and indigenous definition of walang hiya. What I was taught to me was that it means appropriateness. Like, have you no appropriateness? Not you should feel like a piece of shit for doing that. Like, and so. The colonial definition you can understand is designed to like subjugate and make the people feel bad back then, back in the day when colonialism was so super big, and still has influences today.
100%.
And so the bahala na mentality, like people initially think bahala na tends to mean like, oh, just fuck it, just go for it, whatever. Also, I hope this doesn't get you demonetized.
No.
Oh, okay.
Believe me, I'm not here to make money.
For sure. Okay. But yeah, bahala na. Yeah. Just, go with the wind. And that's not what it means indigenously.
Yeah.
It derives from Batala, which is a god in the Philippines. And it originates from going with God. When soldiers and tribes used to quarrel with each other, this is before colonialism, they would go with Batala na. Like, I prepared everything that I could, and now I'm going to go with God and see whatever comes of it.
Wow, dude. It's
so different, right?
No, those two examples that you gave me, two different definitions, two different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
One's hopefully a little more empowering. The other one's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna subjugate your ass.
No,
Like,
and that's what it is that you know
Yeah.
I'm not I think that when I hear another Filipino male live in a Filipino household and get the I don't want to say support, but definitely the opportunities, it makes me feel good, right? It makes me feel happy because, and I'm not saying like I'm a sad puppy, sad story, but it's just like, yeah, like a lot of the, a lot of the feeling that I had being in a Filipino household, it was masculine, be strong, don't cry, don't talk about your feelings, say less, take care of yourself. Like it's just like you have to be this male, strong, dominant Filipino kid that the world isn't fair, and you also have to do the right thing because God is looking after you at all times. And it's like pray and say your Hail Marys and don't eat too much. It's just like, and there's just like so many. And
I'm just kidding.
but it's also stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like that really, put a tie on my, my mental health when I was younger. And
I get it.
And so when I hear your story and you grew up in this space, and then you went to college, and then you were able to know the why, I think that's beautiful, man. And
I do want to say, and maybe this is just my upbringing, to have such a, I would characterize as a positive outlook on my upbringing. I also realized more so how much I can reciprocate and feel for others. And to the point where sometimes I almost would feel bad. Like, in my head, I was like,
feel bad for me, bro.
No, it's in general, it's like, I was talking about earlier, I think this is off mic, where like, have you ever like, thought about like, oh, isn't this what everyone else is experiencing?
Right.
And then it wasn't until like college and learning about deeper in other cultures, because in ethnic studies or Asian American studies, you don't just learn Filipino, you learn like multiple disciplines of different cultures. I did Vietnamese identity, Chinese identity, Japanese identity, and so to get a much
more
broader,
like South or like Asian,
the requirements you learn, like take 2 classes on other cultures as well to get you a more holistic, what it means to be Asian American
and
studies.
how it all blends.
Yes, yeah. Because it all does tie together historically about like, oh, when this ethnic group didn't get subjugated, then they moved over to this group, and then they moved over to this group, and then you just constantly make rivalries amongst them. And now you kind of see how it translates to society. We'll get there.
100%. No, I get.
No, for sure. The tribes.
You're definitely coming back.
Tribal mentality.
Yeah.
And so part of me would feel bad because I was like, I never knew how I could relate, or like I always had strive to have more of a positive and hopeful view, and I think that's where you see me in technology and when I try to at the store. And kind of, if that helps, that click of like, why does Joey tick the way that he does?
No, it's not.
I don't know. Like,
it's not that. It's just I've always struggled with identity. I'm Filipino, but then as much as not negative, but as much as it hurt me growing up, I can't relate.
Joey, that's the. I was like, I want to relate too in terms of like, like it's. I think we're taught like it's one thing to be positive, and I'm just like, but to make sure you have that well-rounded understanding of difficulties in the world, that make you appreciate even further. And I thought at the time that me losing my dad was the only thing that I was going to experience, which is not true. I did even right now big struggles at the moment, and just in general. I think it, for me at least, it spoke to how I grew up. That gave me a foundation of like, if you could not necessarily overcome, but if you could, I feel like anyone could say you had 2 pathways. I could have been, I chose this pathway, which was try to see the world in a more positive light and try to make the most of what time I have. Because my dad, he died young. He was 45 at the time. Oh, wow. Yeah. But at the time I already had done so much and done foundation and things that allowed me to be where I am now. And I reflect on that. But I do have this further appreciation about time and always thinking that tomorrow, next week could be my last. And not in like a panicky way, but just in a appreciate what I can do
That's like
while I'm
gratefulness.
here, whether it means directly like having having your own kid, having your own family, or just for me, like I might not have my own directly, but living with my nephews and seeing how they've grown up, and I get even further concerned about like the state of the world now and what they're going to go into. And I was like, I don't know how long I get to be here to like share what I can, and or even not directly share, but just prepare as much as I can for them. That's so, all this to say, I think as I try to find other places where I can find weight and just progressively see how much I can carry, how much I can give back, because so much was given to me. And that's just how I generally think about it, because
no, that's beautiful, man. Thank you. No, I sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good. I just love learning more your story too.
No,
it contributes to me. And I do want to say, there was one quote I want to make sure I said that the one quote I learned in college that always stuck with me in that Asian American Studies Filipino psyche behavior class is, I don't know where it comes from. You can give credit to where we'll find out on the internet later.
Yeah.
But
we're excited.
I just want to give credit where credit's due.
Got it.
Everyone you meet in life is like a book waiting to share their stories, and the quality of one's life can be measured by how full your library is. Which is ironic for me because I don't like to read. I love watching. I love videos. So all this to say, the interaction between two humans sharing their experiences and coming together and understanding there's differences, but they don't have to be differences that really set you apart in like a goal of separating, but to understand, you know, when some type of yin and yang come together and that amazing 1 + 1 = 3. If you know, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I know they want to attribute that, but I was like, it can mean something more big than just, something marketed. Anyways.
Yeah, I got you. No, it's no, that's good, man. I first of all, I think you hit it on the head with that, because look, you can get all the people, you can get all the friends, and but this right here, the people that I've had on this podcast, there's stories to be told. They've been through some stuff. They have some grit to it. They have to have something, right? You have to have something to make them click. You gotta, and that's what I love. It's just like I need to hear it. I think you have something valuable to share with the world, and even you being here today, it's just like it blows my mind, because we've been friends for the last 3-4 years, and this is the most, and I don't know, man. I just really appreciate it. It's valuable to me, right? And again,
are there times when you ask and you're like, I'm not sure if this guy's really gonna come through, or like, not me specifically, but like, I've seen like you ask like the others, and I'm like, I wonder if you're wondering like, is this person actually gonna come through?
No, like, no. And again, like the one-on-one stuff. Look. No matter what we do, we could have had the cameras turned off, had a coffee, and we could have. People that know me, Phil's Coffee, Westboro, many conversations, 4 hour, 5 hour conversations of just, but that's what I love, right? I love having a cigarette and drinking a coffee, talking about what makes you click, what makes you. I was doing this before this podcast, and people know that. People that know me know that I'm down to. And the last time you were here, we sat on my couch and we talked for hours and about. And that was just because I was naturally curious. And so, and it's stuff like that where maybe that's why I like Company A, because I'm naturally curious about people.
I don't mean this in a negative way, but if only there was a way to monetize that, just because society forces us to have to make money.
Oh, right.
Not because we want to make money, but society forces us to do this.
Especially living in the
But this is awesome. This is great.
Living in the Bay, and also like it's if you, and I've said this before, but for me it's, maybe I take a little part of your mentality where next 2-3 weeks, month is not guaranteed, and that gratefulness is something I had to, discover with therapy and, my my relationship with God and, the higher power as well. And so I really started to reflect and pray every night. And, there's a lot of faith that, there's a lot of hopefulness. There's a lot of optimism. But look, if it had my way, first communication is one, right? It's I wish everyone can just communicate freely and, say what they need to say and, kind of leave your feelings out of a lot of the stuff that we say. But two is, I think leaving it all on the table is super powerful, man. If you know me, if you're listening to this and I've sent you that text saying that I love you and I miss you, and I don't need a reply back, but just to know that in that moment in time, I
thumbs up.
Yeah. I love
Heart.
you.
Take
I love
back.
you. I miss you. And I'm thinking about you. But just know I don't expect a text back. I don't need, and I'm just grateful to even be able to share that love and appreciation. And I don't know, maybe that's weird, but that's also like how I feel. It's like, I don't need a reason to say I love you. I love you, and it's crazy. You're leaving it all on the table because I don't want to wait 2 years from now to say I love you. I'm just gonna say it now. So I don't know if that's the same translation,
definitely.
but yeah, just kind of leave it. I wish this, and I also need to take a chapter out of this book. It's just I just need to be more honest with myself, and I need to stop lying to myself. I need to stop using lying or I don't want to say manipulation, but lying as a defense mechanism, to better myself, to defend myself. I just need to be more honest and, be more truthful. So,
I mean, I won't lie, and from just personal experience, it's, the more you interact with people in this world and you realize that they don't have even similar, if not the same upbringing as you, it can be understandable to have this type of, not you specifically, but like a defense mechanism of like, I'm not sure how so and so is going to take this, or I'm not sure what the blowback could be, kind of thing.
Definitely
of either quote unquote oversharing or whatnot, and so it's understandable. I think the more times we're reflecting to a degree where you're in your head and you're so hesitant, and then you finally put it out there in words. And then you're like, this is not the result I was expecting.
Well, it's just because I never
like,
had
the likelihood of like that happening. Like,
well, it's just because I never had a voice when I was growing up. This is why this is important.
Yeah.
This is why when I saw a podcast in 2017, 2018, blah, 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 it was just, it's just growing, and then it really took off during COVID, and, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But like having a voice, sharing a story, capturing a moment, those are important to me because I never had that growing up. And so when I was younger, I just never had the ability to say I love you to my family. I never had it looked weak. It was frowned upon, and and there's some slurs that they would call me. But it's just one of those things where I don't want to live that way where I can't tell the person I love or friends, families, people that I miss them, that I love them, how much they care about me, how much I care about them. What is society? What kind of society? I don't want to live in that society where I can't voice my gratefulness for this world, this life, this people that are. Yeah. So I don't know. That's how I feel. I think you said you piece it all together with your family and how much gratefulness we have, and it makes me reflect, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. It's always I always learn a lot more when I talk to you versus it's just because the perspective is just so clear, and you always take a positive approach to everything, and yeah, man, it's refreshing. Thank you.
Is it fair to hear too that for as many positive approaches I think I either consciously or even subconsciously take, that I also, I mean, I can't think of a better term but then feel bad that I was like, man, I wish I could be more relatable and not be so positive. Kind of because I feel like that's more relatable, but at the same time, and think about just we have opinions about the state of the world and perspectives and whatnot. I think I have this inherent just energy to if a lot of my friends are gonna go that way, I'm gonna go this way. Like,
No, that's
or if a lot of people I notice
yeah.
and I interact with regularly are
Mm-hmm.
like, I get the feeling of, XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
But what about feeling letter L or M over here?
I
Like the
love
things
that.
that not
Yeah.
everybody always thinks about. And I think to a
Yeah.
certain degree that can be just inherently contrary and just to be one. But I do really focus on like foundational whys of like
Oh, I'm a
the
big
things
Y
that
guy.
yeah
I'm a big Y. And you know
yeah
what?
like a model Y.
Would you say
Just kidding.
would you say that you play a lot of devil's advocate? Like you kind of challenge that belief a lot, or
You know what? I don't want to give the devil credit, but in short,
all right.
I do like just throwing in another perspective. It doesn't have to be an opposite perspective. It can be like a perspective like in the YZ,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
different axis
I got you.
altogether, and just like one phrase that really resonates with me is that I don't care so much about being right. I care about getting it right more than anything. But I think a lot of society just wants like, oh, I need to make sure I do my best to be right on this. I need, and there's like maybe that's why I felt inclined to just subconsciously I'm a B plus student. I don't really care about I imagine A as perfection,
Yeah.
and I don't believe perfection exists. I believe we reflect on it after the fact when we have gone through trials and tribulations and we look back and say, that was perfect for me. But in terms of in the moment and being open to not going perfect, but that small 5-10% that you could have improved on, that's the other side. That's the opportunity of like, wow, I kind of wish I knew that back then. But even though looking back at it, that's cool that I didn't know everything.
Wow.
Or I have this also, I was breaking this down in my head about actually this past week preparing for this. I was thinking to myself, I was like, people love knowing what they know. And there are people that don't know what they know sometimes. And other times they know what they don't know. But a lot of people can fear like not knowing what they don't know as well. Like in this quadrant of 4
Yeah. I get
of
what you're saying.
knowledge and understanding. And all this to say, this is the point where I go on a tangent. I like,
No,
like, I'm
you're
just
fine.
like, yeah.
You're
I'm
fine.
like, yeah, I have an appreciation for knowing what I don't know and being okay with that
Yeah.
and trying to embrace it versus fear it. And hopefully it's something that within my lifetime I figure out. And even if I don't, like, that's okay too.
Now, are you actively trying to explore this, or actively trying to understand it, or is it when it's like
I
appropriate?
kind of
for
just
your
do it
time?
passively.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
not really
yeah,
like
yeah.
certain events in my life that I'm looking like, oh, this is where I got to figure this out.
You're
It's
not
more like
studying at home. Like
it's like general thoughts about the world and reality and universe, and where you're like, well, even though this hasn't happened to me, if I was in that situation, or I would imagine like, oh, what if one day I didn't have access to my legs? Like, what would I do? What if one day, like, and put yourself in these different multiverse scenarios of like different versions of yourself. Like, granted, there are things about this version of myself I was like, man, that sucks. But at the same time, I can understand why I am the way I am, or like thinking about and trying to reflect on that stuff too. And I think part of it is just another mentality of just kind of, make the most with what you got kind of thing.
Well, I've said this.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And I've said this before on the podcast as well. I've said this a lot as well, but all the pain, all the trials, tribulations, all the pain, the hurt, the lonely nights, it had to happen to get here.
It's important.
It's important. And I was having this conversation with my sister, who she battles with mental health, and she is going through.
I should have asked, how many siblings do you have?
I am an only sibling, but I have I have a half brother, half sister, and then I have one half sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
And age separation? Are you the?
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
You're the
Yeah,
oldest.
I'm the oldest. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
but I was talking to my sister about her trials and tribulations living with my mother as well, and and she, and it's now that she's in a space where she can take care of herself and she understands the why. And I told her, it's it's in our blood. It's in our blood. Mental health, the disease, the alcoholism, the smoking, the gambling, the narcissistic stuff. It's in our blood, and we have a choice to break that cycle. And so, as she moves on in her 20s, as she's separating herself from my mother, we have. I just have a great appreciation for. First of all, the communication, but second, it's I think that's it's just it's yeah yeah no it's important I kind of lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Yeah, bring up what we were saying again by that. What were you saying?
Well, I know at one point I brought up this idea of like, for me, 2018 was a very important year. And to be honest, I don't know how far we go in like world politics and news and how that relates.
No,
like, because I was just thinking about how for me, I think it's the idea of like, in school, whether it's high school or college, like the concept of like reading about history in a history book, but never thinking about, oh, what if this was right now? And it wasn't until I followed the Asian guy that was running for president at the time.
Enriquez.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I'll be honest, I'm a Yang Gang to this day. So any Yang Gangs out there, just let me know.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think, because a lot of the things that he said back then just resonate, because now I can fast forward, right? It's like 7-8 years later, and I'm like, yo, a lot of that stuff played out. And faster than he said it would do.
Yeah.
Because at the time he didn't anticipate a pandemic. He didn't anticipate all these, other factors.
But he saw the bigger scale to it.
Oh yeah. And how it generally, in this theme of, mental health, and that's what resonates with me in my background of both Asian American studies, how that, cultural differences and seeing rivalries where really that shouldn't be the bigger picture. But aside from that, just how it affects people. Like, one of the foundational things he talks about is that, as a country, we could solve 3 major things that plague us, which is health, our health system, education, and housing. and when it comes to just all of them related to money, in short, that's the whole reason why he wanted to give $1,000. Oh, at the time, $1,000 to everybody, because it wasn't like it wasn't meant to be a panacea. It was meant to be a floor for people to just get this economic boot on their neck off.
100%.
So people can just, get their heads up and start thinking about things like climate change, like very big, large things that.
No, he's right. No, and I've heard of that concept before, and not diving into his politics, but I heard that to get the weight off of our economic crises or whatever. This stipend or whatever, this would help the American populace, and then
you just lose IQ points having financial. Like your mental acuity goes dramatically down 1 deviation when you have. And granted, a lot of these things that I say are just repeated because.
Wait, towards me or wait, what are you talking about?
No, so in general, like when you have, when you have like economic weight. In your head. Your ability to just process life, like
goes down. Me, I was like, oh shit.
No, not you. But it goes down to a degree where you're just like you're handicapped. You're held back.
100%. Yeah.
And all this to say, I think there's a lot of things that I wish I had to be in the position and just make those choices. Like, yo, this sounds easy. Like, oh, that tracks. That sounds right.
Right.
But then at the same time, I'm also like an observer of life and just saying how things evolve. And in my head, I don't want to be like, oh, I was right. But no, I want to say that these are things that were out there. And even though this information's out there, it's not the majority. It's not what's out in mainstream media. A lot of the things that I learn about, I can promise you a majority of it. I'm a minority. Like, the things you hear me talk about with tech and like, company A and company T and all these other things and like how they are. Like, chances are you probably don't hear about this anywhere else but me. Or if it is, they're like the negative viewpoints of those things.
Right.
Because the negative viewpoints are and not in a bad way, or not to be like a negative way, but I think objectively it's just easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to digest that, big corporations, big entities that have money.
Well, I've always said this. The things that are happening around the world. Unfortunately, I'm not saying I lack empathy, but I mean, like, I can't until it's in my doorstep. That's when it's. You know what I'm saying? Does that like? But like you said earlier, like I have an understanding of it. I know it's there. I don't pursue it all the time. It's passive.
Yeah, definitely.
Do I fall under the word ignorance, arrogance for not knowing more? Because the information is there, but I choose not to.
I will say I'm okay with being ignorant.
Okay, when I was people that know me, people that know me when I was younger, I ignorant was my way to go, and so I was just ignorant about whole life in general, and so But yeah, like I can get the information. I choose not to get the information. Am I arrogant? Do I have a sense of ignorance? Mm-hmm. And so that's where I fall into. And
this is me not nodding. Yes, you are. No, I'm saying I got you.
Yeah. Jesus, no. No, but you're absolutely right. I think, it's a. I don't want to say slippery slope, but it's a.
I think
it's a time, dude.
For me, it's the idea that if I was a superhero, if I had the ability to stop a tsunami, if I was like the Flash, I don't know if you know that scene where like this giant tsunami is heading to the coast, and the only way for the Flash back then, this is like TV series, Flash, I don't know if it's on Netflix or anything, but like he would run up and down the coast to try to create some kind of weird barrier that stops the water from going on the state. I don't know if it's California, whatever, Coast City, what they call it. And so all this to say, like, that's I can see, and I don't want to be right. It's one of those things I'm just like observing, and I'm like, damn, that's heading this way. I wonder how long it's going to take, because they thought it was going to be 10, 15 years, and now it just feels like it's like almost on our shores, and I'm just like, Or what's that meme with the dog in the room and the fire?
Right, everything's fine.
Yeah, it's like really, like And so as much as I want to share, I know everybody has their own different stages and where they are in whatever journey that, if this hits our doorstep, that, everyone's just going to be where they are and where they went.
Like COVID did. And it's like, how did you react, right? Those are the moments. Those are the moments.
That's important. A good point. Yeah.
Those are the
that
moments.
Happened.
That happened.
Yeah.
And, you could pinpoint when, where, what you were doing. And, that's a major plot in your life. And, those kind of stories for the last, those year or two, that you're, in, I won't say hiding, but you're self-isolation. Those are important stories, because you could say that we lost a generation of people that just kind of lost their.
Maybe the media does like to say that.
Yeah, you lose your senior, your freshman year of college. You kind of like, it's just a dystopia, And people strived in it. People failed. I had a failure during COVID, and I don't even know if failure was the right term, but people that know me, But anyways, I digress. And I think it's important. And like we go back to it, circling back to, what does your library look like? And how many chapters? What does that all look like? And so those are important. And I'm glad to speak to, people like you who always just give me fresh perspective, and your opinion matters. And one thing I wanted to say is that when you have these conversations with people, at least you're having the conversation, right? Like a lot of people are not having the conversation, keeping the conversation. Mental health is so important, at least especially with males. This is what I'm trying to do, is to kind of talk about the journey and how we came to be. And I think one of the big things is that I don't want to look back and have my daughter, MJ, just look at me or ask me, and I said, I could have, I should have, but I didn't. I didn't try.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it. I folded, and I don't want to say folded, but I stayed silent, and I was complacent, and I was okay. And right when I feel the complacency hit in my life, I know that I'm not growing as a person. and I need to be uncomfortable because that's the only time I could, and that's why I challenge myself with guests, with the questions, with even exploring my mental health through others, because I know that I'm learning a little bit more about myself. I'm learning way more about the other person, but it unlocks something in me. So all this is valuable, and you even being here, it's every time I know that we talk about the wood and the Pikachu and all that stuff, but every time like you kind of like said something super deep, I fucking like drifted into like, holy shit, you know? And
yeah,
and that's what it is that, and Joe has told me this on the podcast, is that I provoke emotion and thought, but you also do that to me too. Like as a mentor, you've not asked me for the answer. There's no right. You're not striving for perfection. There's no right answer, but you definitely let me ponder a lot.
Cool.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good. It's just, and I appreciate that. And
I'm glad it resonates.
yeah, when when I can find individuals that challenge me as a person, I keep those people close. There's a lot of people that in and out of my life that just, that is okay, and enabled, and I look at those people differently now that I'm older and I've gone through my steps of healing, like all that stuff, but gone through my steps, I had to look back into my circle and be like, wow, like, love you from a distance kind of thing.
Yeah.
So first of all, I know that we never talked about anything that you want to talk about.
No. It's been sprinkling throughout. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. No, it's good. I
didn't even show you the notes beforehand.
No, so and that's what I'm saying. And, it's all free flowing, and people that know this, I love to kind of off the dome. I'm not gonna lie to you. A couple of nights before, there's always a part of reflection about alignment with myself on this podcast. Who I bring on, why I bring them on. And when I get to write those things out loud or write them on the computer, I look back and be like, I need to make sure that this stays at its core. Yeah. And a lot of times the distraction and the noise can really turn me off of that. So I appreciate you sticking with me because I know that.
This is great. Yeah.
I know that it's just one of those things where, for your first podcast as well, it could be very intimate, and I didn't know how much you wanted to give up as well. So, thank you for being on podcast. I do appreciate. I wish that you're going to be on more in the future. I wish you had more time, but I can't wait to spend time with you today as well. And just to catch up. But we should do this more for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Hey.
Got you, man.
I'll make sure I don't get the microphone.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you for Joey for being here. I think that as episode we had a banger, bro. So thank you.
Awesome. Hey, part one of many.
Hell yeah. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
For sure. Cut.